Everyone, it's middays. Once again, we are live at the West End in downtown Jackson. We're here for the Madison County Business League and Foundation Annual League and Legislature Luncheon. We're pleased to welcome now Michael Guest. He's a congressman who represents Mississippi's 3rd District. Congressman Guest, always good to see you, sir. Thanks for coming on.
Gerard, thanks for having me back. It is great to be in Mississippi. Beautiful day, and glad to get to be here with the Madison Business League and hear about the great things that they're doing and get an update from our state legislators.
So, do you represent the entirety of Madison County, Congressman, or do you have a good bit of it?
Yeah, I do not. I represent basically everything north of Gluckstadt, right there at the Nissan plant. Everything south of the Nissan plant is in my district. Everything north is in Congressman Thompson's district. So that is one of, I think, 4 counties that is actually a split district.
Okay.
And I have a couple in mind. Not only do I have Madison County, which is a split district. I have a portion of Hinds County, basically everything east of Interstate I-55, and then I have a portion of Jones County as well. So I have 3 partial counties in my district that I serve.
Okay. So you guys are off. When you got to go back?
Monday morning. I'll be on the early bird flight up Monday morning. It's been great to be home. We got home about middle of last week after we were able to get the CR passed out of the House and over to the Senate. As you know, we're in session about 3 out of every 4 weeks. The 4th week we're generally off to be back in the district. We're not on vacation. We're not just sitting on home resting, but it gives me the chance to get out and go to events such as this. I got a chance to see you this morning. Started early this morning, meeting with a coffee group. After I leave here, I'll be going out to the 172nd for a groundbreaking for a new fire station. So I'll be joining Senator Hyde Smith out there for that, spending some time with our military. And so when I'm home, I try to do my best to circulate around the district, and particularly this week with the storms that hit over the weekend. Monday morning, me and my team were out through several of our different counties that suffered damages, meeting with some of the elected officials and getting a kind of a first-hand view of the damage that happened over the weekend.
Yeah, devastating tornadoes, and Mississippi has been, unfortunately, no stranger to these sorts of storms coming through in the last few years. But, man, our emergency response personnel are top-notch, are they not?
You're exactly right. And look, the warning that we had for these storms coming through was amazing. I mean, we started getting warnings about a week out, hey, this is going to be a very rough weekend. And we started being able to tell people, to warn people ahead of time. Then as the storms begin to hit on Saturday, as you're watching the local news, I mean, they're able to almost pinpoint it street by street as to where the storms will be heading. And so it's great for us to be able to get that information out to the public. And I think that's why we only saw, I think there were half a dozen fatalities that were reported in this storm. But when you're out on the ground seeing the damage and destruction, I was surprised that the deaths weren't 10 times that.
Yeah.
And so, again, I think a lot of that goes to our being able to get information out quickly, people paying attention as they know the destructive nature of these storms, and then after the storms to see the response from not only local officials but utility crews that were out there. I mean, I can't count the number of utility trucks that were out there restoring power to people in those areas that suffered damage. And so a great response. There'll be a federal component to that. So there'll be some federal funding that will be requested by MEMA. MEMA will be compiling all the requests, gathering all the data, submitting it to the federal government, and then the federal delegation will be supporting that request, and you'll see some federal dollars flowing back to Mississippi for storm recovery.
Appreciate all your efforts there, certainly to visit with the folks down there. Mississippians are resilient. They rebuild. It's no fun going through this, but better days certainly ahead. Let's turn our attention to Washington. You might need to take a couple of naps while you're home over the next week, because since the president was inaugurated, It's been warp speed.
It has. I mean, you see how he has flooded the zone, the shock and awe campaign of everything that he has been able to put together in just 2 months. And, it's hard to believe that just 2 months have passed since the president's been in office for all of the things that he has been able to accomplish. And I think the two things right now that the president should be most proud of is one, how he has been able to secure the border almost overnight.
Unbelievable.
Reinstituting the Remain in Mexico policy, declaring a federal emergency there on the border, being able to surge resources there to help local law enforcement, our CBP there on the border. Once again beginning wall construction, and so we saw the numbers in February drop to the number of encounters were below 8,400 for the entire month. There were many days under the Biden administration we would see that many in a single day.
Yeah.
And so when the number of encounters has dropped more than 90% in the 2 months that the president's been in office, that has been a huge victory for the president, something that he should be very proud of. He campaigned on that. That was probably his top campaign issue. And he's been able to fulfill that campaign promise.
Yeah.
And then what we've seen on the president being able to identify wasteful spending within the federal government, all of the things that the Doge Group has been able to uncover, the wasteful spending that we've been able to stop. Just to this point has been amazing, and I think there's going to be a lot more to come. I think as we continue to look into different federal agencies, the post office has requested Doge come in and do an audit of everything that's going on within the postal service, and they'll find ways there. I think as we get into the Department of Defense, even though I'm a defense hawk and I want to see us fund our military, I want to make sure that those dollars are being spent appropriately. And so the president, I think, right now is well on track to be remembered at least for two things, which is that he secured the border and that he cut wasteful spending. And I think you're going to see over the next several months ahead, we're going to see the economy grow. We're starting to see inflation slowly come down. I know the market is kind of up and down right now. There's some instability in the market, but as the president begins to settle out on some of his tariffs, trade policies, I think we're going to see continued economic growth.
Yeah, I'm with you on that as well. The markets are in a bit of turmoil right now just because they're not quite sure what to make of everything. It's moving at such a rapid rate. But I think by the end of the year, I think we're going to see an unbelievable bull market in the last couple of quarters. So you guys got this CR essentially funding the government for the most part at Biden level, Biden-era spending levels for 6 months. This was at the president's request. Let's point this out. He wanted to give you guys time to work through regular order. You and I have talked about this many times. You think with 6 months we can make that happen so that when the government runs out of money essentially at the end of September, we can negotiate and pass 12 spending bills to fund the discretionary aspect of government?
Well, I tell you, I mean, we're going to try to do that, and we've done a better job in the House the last couple of years in the Senate. I'll say that this year, because I serve on the House Appropriations Committee, we were able to pass all 12 spending bills out of committee. We were able to pass half of those bills off of the House floor and send to the Senate. The Senate, on the other hand, under Schumer, and so this was a different regime, they passed 0 spending bills.
Right.
They refused to take up any of our spending bills, refused to negotiate with us on appropriations bills, and so we were stuck having to do this CR. You're exactly right, a CR that was supported by the president. But what I want your listeners to know is this CR actually cut spending from last year. The first time I've been in Congress, probably the first time in a number of years, we have actually cut spending. Now, the cut in spending was small.
$7 billion.
About $7 billion, and so I think we cut $13 billion from discretionary. We increased defense spending by 6. So
with a net increase. Decrease.
So a net decrease of $7 billion, and so for us to be able to do that, to actually cut spending,
that's unprecedented.
Yeah, I mean that's truly amazing. And then as we're going to at some point get into the rescission packages where the president is going to send to Congress money that they want us that we had previously been appropriated that we don't need to claw back, you're going to see those savings continue to grow. So that is a crucial step in the right direction.
So one other thing I think we want to cover before we go is how about these these lawmakers in robes, as we refer to them. Have you ever seen a situation where it seems like judges are running the country?
Truly amazing. You know, if you think about it, there are 677 federal judges. And for each of those federal judges to be able to have the authority to overrule the actions of the president, I think is truly a miscarriage of justice. This is not the United States Supreme Court, the full 9-member body coming in and telling the administration that they have overstepped their boundaries. This is a single judge, in many cases, in very liberal districts, appointed. Yes, right, appointed by Obama, appointed by President Biden, who is coming in and attempting to stop the lawful actions of the President of the United States. And so I think the President is right to be angry. I think the American public is right to be frustrated by what we're seeing. And I think the Supreme Court needs to step in and needs to get a hold of some of these federal district judges.
I mean, maybe I'm oversimplifying it, but deporting the people that Mr. Trump's deporting, it seems like we could rely on existing law easily to do that.
No doubt. The president is truly acting within the scope of the current law. He has not overstepped his boundaries, and the judge was out of line.
Congressman Michael Guest, who represents Mississippi's 3rd District, has been our guest on Middays. Appreciate it, Congressman.
Thank you, Gerard.
Always good to see you. Folks, we're stepping aside for a break. We're at the Westin in downtown Jackson for the Madison County Business League and Foundation League and Legislature Luncheon. It's Phil Buffington, the Government Affairs Committee Chair, next.